Hi, my name is Andrea Lillo with Designers Today, and I'm so happy to be here with Jill Seale. Thank you so much for being with us today in your studio. We're live in your studio, or virtually for me anyway, and I'm so excited to catch up with you, see how you're handling the pandemic, and what you have on tap for the future.
Well, thank you so much for having me. I'm delighted you're in my studio of sorts, but it's nice to have you.
Well, wonderful. So tell us what you'll be doing for us today.
So I'll explain what marbling is.
Mm-hmm.
It's an ancient paper art that was used. It's had some history in the book arts where you've seen it on the spines of books or on the edges of books and on the inside cover pages. And it was used to identify a source. So everybody was really proprietary about their colors and their patterns. And it's sort of having a resurgence. I went to Italy and learned. I've always had an attraction to it. And I learned and thought, this is my voice in textiles. So I came back and learned all I could. And then I went back to Italy. I've gone back a few times for a month at a time and really study intensively. So I can learn the rules and how to make the paints do what you expect them to do, which almost never happens, but that's the fun of it. This is the perfect art of going with the flow, which could not be more relevant right now.
Yeah, absolutely. So talk a little bit about what you've been, how you've been staying creative during the pandemic.
Well, I thought we were supposed to have a break during this pandemic, and I did for a little bit, but I do see that people want to keep things going. And so there's a lot of hope for me when I'm getting calls from my manufacturers and from designers. People want things to continue happening. But during the time that I've had a less intense schedule, let's say, I've been able to focus on things that I should. Taking advantage of the time to learn some online things, some tools like Pinterest and enhancing my website and putting things on my website that I could just never get to. But also the thing that I am loving is all of these Zoom calls and interviews with groups of people that when I've been at market and I'm on task at market, either in my space or doing demos, I can't go see other people who I'd love to hear speak.
That's true. That's true.
And so this has been a real treat for me to get to finally dial into other designers and whoever, has been having these calls that I'm super interested in hearing the state of the industry and drill down on what they're doing. It's been great.
Just to connect with people,
Yeah.
And keep connected.
I'm exhausted. But it's been a nice redirection.
Mm-hmm.
In a way. I mean, everybody's concerned about business, and I don't diminish or, pretend that's not happening. It is for everyone, and it concerns everyone. But here's where we are. So what can I do to help?
Wonderful. Yeah.
I'm just rolling with it.
We're just, exactly. Whatever you can do just to make this time better or more productive or more mindful or whatever. I think that's a good goal.
And more beautiful, because we really still need that. It's oxygen. And so when I love to post, and I just want to start marbling because you'll see what I mean. So I've already got a little layer of blue down. So, but when I post these videos of just marbling in the studio, it's such a peaceful kind of process. And if you want, I can really, let me see if I can focus on the trace.
Oh, yeah. How do you choose the colors? You just kind of whatever you're in the mood for that day, or?
Yeah, and sometimes, usually like if I'm doing a demo, I pick colors that will give bright, It's just more contrasty colors just to have a better visibility. But I generally, when I'm starting, and this is going with the flow. When I start, I sort of have colors in mind. I might have a pattern that I'm sort of thinking about, and I'll just start somewhere. and then just see what happens. So you're sort of chatting with the paints. You do something, it responds a certain way. And then you might do something that gives you, I'm going to do it right now so you'll see what I mean. Because now I kind of know how paints behave. So I'm going to put this color in, and it might spread out more than I wanted to.
Okay.
And I think, oh, I didn't want that to happen, but here's where we are. So this is just the physical representation of 2020. It's like, oh, you know, but but let's make
How do we
work.
fix it?
Yeah. So I just sort of am very present in the tray.
Mm-hmm.
And at the time that I sort of was able to start marbling myself. I'd known about marbling, and I used to collect marble papers. But when I tried it, I found religion. And it gave me such a space to be so present. And so I was never more present in the tray and more removed from everything else. And it was just like taking a shoe off that had a rock in it. You know, everything.
That's awesome. So you're really in the zone. That's very cool.
And you know how they talk about flow, when you get in the flow, and it's just time and space don't exist, and you're just sort of seeing what's unfolding in front of you. And it's just such a therapeutic process. And a year ago, the Walter Reed Army Medical Center had me come in and teach their art therapists.
Oh, wonderful. That sounds great.
So now I'll just do.
Are these official, like, do you, that little wire thing you just used, is that
Yes.
like you just went to the art store and got it, or was that some sort of?
I went to my kitchen drawer and got a shish kebab skewer, which is my most favorite tool in the house, and I use it for everything but shish kebab.
That's very cool. That's very beautiful.
Thank you. Can you see this?
Yeah. Wow. Oh, I should also say that the piece that Jill is creating before our eyes will be auctioned off. So one of our lucky viewers will be able to win this piece of artwork, and the charity will be determined, to be determined, but it will go to a good charity.
So I'm going to do a few of them,
okay,
so that we have a choice, because this, you know, might not necessarily be the best one, but.
Ooh, I love it. Oh, I love it.
Kind of running a little bit.
I love the running. I love the, you know, it's kind of very flowy. Flowy is not the right word, is it?
Well, it is flowy. So, you know, every time I get in the tray, depending on the humidity or the thickness of the bath, or sometimes the paints have traveled too much and they don't hold together. So I don't always know exactly what I'm going to get. And I can see that the white is sort of not. I already had to take the black out of the running.
What kind of paint are you using?
This is an acrylic paint. And really, you can use any sort of, you know, the principle is you're floating the pigments on top of a thickened water, which is thickened with a seaweed starch. But, you know, at a coffee shop, on the foam, they'll put powder and then stir in it. Yes. It's the exact same principle.
Gotcha. Okay.
And you see it with nail polish. They float nail polish on water.
Right.
So let's see if we can do another. Can you see it close enough to?
Yeah, I can see it.
So if anybody wants a particular color, just shout it out.
Yeah. So of all the patterns you're known for, is there like one particular design that you're most popular or people, you know, associate with you? I would think of like the Ziggy pink. I don't like that's obviously, you know, to me that's classic Jill, but I don't know if that's what people know you for. Like, what's the most popular design you do?
I have to say my Tuscan Sunset, which was the very first one that made it onto furniture with Wesley Hall. That's one of my most popular ones, but I think the voice that I have in marbling and the deliberate approach that I've taken to marbling is about exploration and sort of making it my own language. So while this is a time-honored craft, I'm not paying attention to their color choices or their patterns. I'm really playing in the tray.
It just changes in front of our eyes, just the color just kind of expands. It's very cool.
And so that orange really is eating up the surface tension. So I can see that this isn't spreading as much. It's all about surface tension.
Sometimes you got to listen that tension. That's 2022, right?
Right. You have to know when your max is.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to sort of play. Now we have these big chunks of color. We can do some fun stuff with it.
Well, where in Italy, is there a particular city that you've gone to that this is where it's really known?
Florence, Italy. I had a friend who, she lived in Lake Tahoe and said, I can't do one more winter there. So I'm going to go to Florence for a couple months. Come visit me while I'm there. And I'm the type that says yes. Yeah. So, you know what? My colors are running today.
I like it though. I like it. That's very
it'll drip off.
A little foliage action.
Straight. So I'll show you these when it's all done and they're all dried. I'll post them or I'll send them to you in their good format. But I'm sorry that my papers aren't behaving so well today. So when I play, I sort of then pare things down. The hardest part for me, I think, is deciding what I'm going to add to my next launch. And it's having to edit down what I do. And then sometimes it's a little corner of something that I think that is such a pretty movement that I want to capture that. And hang on, I'm going to run out of the scene for a minute. But like this pillow is a section of a design that's probably this big of a section. So I think it's taking the what you do in the tray and then looking at it with an artistic eye. Is the whole thing worth repeating? Right. Then, that's a little added artistry, and that's what makes it your own. And not everything can work in a repeat. So sometimes it's just a panel for pillows. But most of the time I'll put it in painstaking. It can take me a couple weeks sometimes to put something in repeat. And then with technology, you can take this old world art form and put it on rugs. I have rugs with Company C. I have bedding with Avasa Home. I have furniture with Norwalk and Libby Langdon with her Fairfield chair. And of course, Wesley Hall was my first. And I continue to add to those collections. And I'm launching some new products with Port 68.
Wonderful, yeah. That's
in the fall. At the Las Vegas market, you can see the Norwalk and Avasa Home.
Market. Okay.
Yeah, so everybody that is on the virtual market, those will be available. I'm also about to, it's not my launch, but I'm collaborating with International Shades to do a series of lampshades for them.
Oh, that makes sense. That's very cool.
And another thing that has happened during this COVID, people are reaching out trying to find ways to collaborate because we're not so caught up in the cycle as it used to be.
Right.
We have time to pause.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I've got some other collaborations in the works. Too soon to talk about. But
that's right. But you have a busy year coming up, or busier year, I should say.
It appears so. It appears so. And I'm also, marbling is one thing that I do, and it's what brought me to textiles, which I've always wanted to be in. But I'm also taking the time to watercolor more and to use my paints in other ways. So in the Norwalk and Wesley Hall collections coming up, also the Fairfield chair, are some of my watercolors.
I look forward to seeing your stuff in person. Hopefully next year we'll all be together again. Well, I'm sure the rest of the year will still be very creative for you. So thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. And thank you for all you do in propelling the good energy in our industry.